Welcome everyone to the Tokusatsu Portal podcast. Here today is me, Decade.
Me, Slider.
Me, Chaser.
And Zero is unfortunately out this week.
Yes, unfortunately.
So, Stay this week talked about episode 13 of Kamen Rider Ex-Aid called A Fixed Destiny. So before we go too far, I did want to make note that Laser still is in the opening. So I thought that was interesting. Both his bike and level 3 were still in that opening.
Yeah, that is.
I expected it to be a new opening without him. Maybe they will be soon. So yeah, our episode pretty much begins with Kyoto holding a press conference revealing the existence of the Bugster virus and the Kamen Riders, or at least Brave and Ex-Aid. Which, a lot sooner than Drive! That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I like the whole fighting in the public eye kind of element.
Well, no, I don't know if it's sooner than Drive. I'm gonna take that back. Because they didn't say who it was, they just said there were riders.
True. But, yeah, it just seems a lot more realistic that, something's going on and they're gonna tell the public what's being done to stop it.
Right.
Well, if it's something like that big.
Well, it usually is in other rider shows too, but I don't know, they kind of just sweep it under the rug sometimes.
So yeah, we then cut to Dan planning to retrieve the Gashats from the other riders, which is not surprising, I don't think, just considering the way he is. So we go back to the hospital, and Emu is undergoing surgery training because he's done with his pediatric training. And Hiro says Emu is too slow for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh, well, it's because he's still hung up on Kiria's death.
True. So yeah, and then after that, Hiro goes off on I think this line pretty much sums up Hiro's behavior up until now. His line of doctors are responsible for the lives of many patients and they don't have time to waste on the personal feelings of the patients and personal feelings of the doctors. I feel like that really does sum up Hiro's personality up until now.
Yep. Well, it's kind of good that we see more of this challenging of ideals, especially now that Emu's kind of back to square one with his new surgeon training.
Right. It'll be pediatric and now to surgery. So, it wouldn't be an episode if we didn't have a new patient, who this time is Shirakawa Kazuki, who we were told is a gastroenterologist. Not that matters, but I'm still saying, I guess, form a more emotional connection. The patient says the operation will not work, which we don't find out until later why it is. But we get a new Bugster. Or, I say new, but it's a new suit. So yeah, they're really reusing the suits. Any thoughts on anything up until this point? Because we're going into a fight scene next.
Just the whole red eyes glowing right before the Bugster virus breaks out is important to note.
I missed that.
Yeah.
Go back and check that.
Right before the virus comes out of him, his eyes glow red.
Huh. That is interesting.
It somehow reminds me of M.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of when he said that. So yeah, we get a fight. Zombie Genom is also there, claiming he wants the Gashats back, which he said he was going to do earlier in the episode. He then summons the Gashcon Sparrow, so we now know where it went. So, yeah. Ex-Aid goes full dragon, which is full dragon, and fights Zombie Genom while Brave is over fighting the Bugster. We get a new finisher from Zombie Genom, the Critical Dead, which is kind of impressive. It's cheap special effects, but I thought that it was cool. The Critical Dead.
Yeah, it's a bunch of explosive zombies coming out of the ground.
Yeah. So that was cool. Brave saves Ex-Aid and untransforms both of them to save him. So this is, and we then go back to Nico from the last episode. Still have no idea what her deal is. I think she may become an interesting character. Right now, she's just kind of there.
Mm-hmm. I think she sort of, those sort of things like fills up, like old Dan's role, maybe. What he tells the writers to do or something like that.
Maybe. I think we're going to get a lot more of her next episode just from the preview. So yeah, we got, what was it? So she's messing around with Taiga, and then so she has the game syndrome. And there's something else that happens here, but I'm just going to finish up this scene that they broke up because Toei. Taiga ends up saying that Nico's lying about that game syndrome. But that's after Hiro scolds Emu for forgetting about the patient and going after Zombie again. Which is interesting, considering Emu's always been the one going after the patient's bugster. Unless I'm misremembering.
Yeah, I believe it was episode 5 when, or maybe it was 6. Basically, when Hiro was all going tunnel visioned after Graphite for killing his girlfriend and just completely disregarding the patients, and now we have Emu pretty much in the same situation.
Yeah. So Hiro takes Emu's gashats, all 3 of them, and says he's going to hold on to him because Emu is unfit to do an operation. And Hiro's dad and Poppy both agree with him. Completely unnecessary, but whatever. Then we go back to Taiga saying Nico doesn't really have the game syndrome, and she's messing with him. We then get more into Taiga, because Taiga, when he asked Nico where she heard about him, I thought Nico already knew him. Did anybody else get that feeling?
Oh no, I knew that they were strangers. It's just why she chose to encounter Taiga was interesting.
So yeah, apparently Taiga's some sort of internet legend. Don't know why. And there were some sort of eyewitness reports. Also, Nico really wants Taiga to defeat him. I think she's going to become an interesting character.
Oh, for sure.
She actually develops. Right now, she's just kind of there.
Mm.
One of my favorite parts of the episode is what the whole Toku fandom seems to be asking. Nico asks, why are games being used as medical instruments? And I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
It's like, I hear that a lot. Anything else?
I don't know, this is a guess, but maybe like Nico might know M somehow. Maybe when he was small in the accident, maybe.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
But then cut back to Dan, who's still really focused on Kamen Rider Chronicle, which still doesn't know what that is. I'm less convinced that it's the final form now than I was last episode of the podcast. It's a show. We then get Peridot talking about he wanting to know when his own gashat will be ready, which is something really kind of unsurprising. But we're getting together. Peridot's going to get a gashat.
Mm.
Dan says some sort of system is required to control a power, and says use it on a bugster, get experimental data. Which has kind of been the whole thing Dan really likes that experimental data.
Well, it might be the only way to harness the Bugster virus, because really all the games have been powered by the Bugster virus, which is also used to destroy the Bugsters, so it's an interesting paradigm there. So if Parado wants a new gashat, he's gonna have to get some sort of Bugster.
So yeah, Paradise says, but what if the writers get hold of it? And I mean, valid point, because when don't they get hold of a gashat? Dan says, if a human tried to use it, they'd be hit with a gigantic wave, I guess, of the bugster virus and then die. Which is kind of not so subtle foreshadowing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was just a standard scene to set up other stuff. Nothing else to really say there, unless...
It's just getting, like, how the part where he needs, like, experimental data, it's just, like, Gaim with Sengoku Yoma. Just needs data.
Yes, especially that line when he says, when he's talking about Kamen Rider Chronicle, and he says that people will soon realize that they can't survive without this game. I was kind of thinking
It's an
that
MMORPG. It's WoW. It's World of Warcraft. He's making
yeah,
the next World of Warcraft.
but it was kind of like a Sengoku driver
Yeah.
sort of situation.
So yeah. And then back to Emu talking with the patient, and asking why the operation won't help. The patient ends up saying that he's beyond curing because he already has pancreatic cancer. That's already in the late stages, so even if the game syndrome is cured, he's still gonna die. And then he tells him that people die sooner or later. A doctor's job always involves death. Which seems to be the core focus of this two-parter.
Yep, Emu's kind of just been forced to, or he's being forced to accept the true weight of his position.
So yeah, Amos does the flashback to having no time for the patient's personal feelings from Hero. Because that needed a repeat. And then Parado suddenly appears. Because why not? And tells Emu to stop being a doctor. Which I think is a real kinda... It almost seemed like Emu was debating that before Parado appeared. Either of you get something else from that scene?
I guess slightly, but he's more just kind of pushing him to get over it. Parado's kind of encouraging him in a way. He's like, if you're gonna be so distraught over a death, then you might as well just quit being a doctor. He's just testing Emu's resolve. Obviously, Emu's not gonna quit.
Okay. Hero's doing his usual thing, eating cake, when the bugster appears. Again. Can we just give him some sort of cake gas shot? I don't know. He needs a cake gas shot. If there's a cake gas shot, I'm just going to say I call it now. And it's not going to happen. But if it does, I'm calling it now. And it's on the record.
Well, you never know. Bandai might make a Gashacon sort of cake gas shot, something like that.
Well, they're already making a burger gas shot. That's not to appear in the show, so who knows? So yeah, Parado urges Emu to throw away the white coat, and I didn't quite understand this scene, so my interpretation is throw away the white coat in the life of being a doctor where people die and given into the game world where there are continues and people really never die. That scene kind of confused me.
Again, he's just offering the alternative, knowing that Emu's not going to give in. I mean, he's saying you could just play video games and nobody in your video games is going to die, and you can just ignore the real world in which people do die.
Right. So yeah, Emu says that Kiryu was killed because of the game. And then Parado says, no, that was Genim. So, Genim is a game, so... I don't get the point that Parado was trying to make there. Did you? Either of you?
I think he's just getting sick of Dan, to be honest.
Yeah, I could see that. So yeah, Emu gets a call from Asuna saying that or Poppy, or whoever she was at the moment, that the Bugster are after Hero. And Parado just kind of interrupts and says that as long as Emu is a doctor, he won't be able to avoid the deaths of others. And then asks Emu if he can deal with that fact. It's kind of that make or break moment for Emu in the kind of, I'm going to say villain. We don't really know what he is. I'm just going to call him villain. Was pushing that for him. So Emu just says, of course he can't accept that. And that he really doesn't want to see somebody die. So that's kind of the end of our character building with them for the minute. And Dan, we go back to the fight scene with Kiro fighting the Bugster. Dan appears and Taiga appears. And Taiga accuses Dan of killing Laser Kiryu to silence him because Kiryu was investigating Imu.
Mm.
So I wonder what's really in Imu's past that he had to silence him.
Like for this part, this is where I've like thinking. So what I think is M might be a bug star.
That would be interesting.
Like given like so many hints. So we said the red eyes that M
Right.
gets, and then when Dan gives the gashat to Parado, telling him, you know, needs it to give it to a bug star for experimental data, if you know what I
He
mean.
gives it to Imu.
And he gives it to Emu, which is, you know, weird.
Right.
And then I'm thinking this part where Nico tells Tiger to fight M.
Just because he's a bugster.
Yeah, maybe she knows. That's what I'm saying. She might be someone that knows M from the past.
I mean, that's nothing new. The Vice Riders were Orphanox. All riders take power from the villains. So that could very well be true.
Yeah, and don't forget that M didn't really have the surgery for the belt, so which means he already
Right.
had the Bugstar virus in him, which was weird. Unless he's a Bugstar.
That could be interesting. We get the Snipe Zombie Ginham double Henshin, and we switch back to Parado giving Imu the blank gas shot and says, "Show me that you can change your destiny." And then we go back to the fight where Brave is fighting the Bugster and Snipe is fighting Zombie Ginham, which I still love that suit. Actually, lovely suit. So yeah, Zombie Ginham starts to do the finisher with the Gashcon Sparrow, and Imu just suddenly appears on screen with the blank gas shot in his hand. And the next comes the part that could, very well lend to your he's a bugster thing, because he puts the gas shot in the belt, hit with the virus, but he isn't killed like Dan said he would be. So yeah.
Yeah, he completely absorbs the black smoke of virus that comes out of his body and like fuses with it.
Which then goes into the gas shot and becomes the Mighty Brothers Double X gas shot. He then transforms into Mighty Double Action Gamer Level X, which is pretty much just another level 1 form looking, but somehow can keep up with Zombie Ginham almost.
Yeah.
It's an interesting form, to say the least. That is an interesting form.
Another interesting thing is that he actually has to pull the lever to transform into it. He doesn't just instantly become level X or whatever.
Yeah, that is interesting. I always thought that you with the toy, because you usually just insert it. Nope, you gotta pull the lever, and then you pull the lever again. Well, we'll get to pulling the lever again in a minute. But yeah, it's a weirdly colored form, because it's 2 colors, and it's just a level 1 body. Also, DK, you pay attention to the songs, right?
Of course.
You noticed what was in this episode that wasn't in any of Ghost, right?
Well, I mean, I knew it was gonna be in from the opening credits when I saw in the brackets the song name.
Answered song is back!
Yes.
Yes.
They've returned.
Praise Joey!
You mean the Let's Try Together?
Which is a very appropriate song title for kind of Mighty Brothers Double X in general.
Well, one thing is like Kamen Rider Girls, the band, they're back on doing insert songs for Kamen Rider.
Right. They aren't personifying riders anymore, but they're still doing songs.
Like they sort of stopped for a while, like they didn't do songs for series, and then they're back in. So.
Right. So I should make the comment. The zombie get him after he's been knocked down, him getting back up is really creepy.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, as we were talking about, pulling the lever, closing it back up and pulling the lever again, makes him double up, which is Double Action Gamer level Double XR and Double Action Gamer level Double XL. If that's not enough, I don't know what is.
I think we need more Kamen Rider W references.
Yeah, I think we're going to save the discussion of that form until next week when we actually have more of a action form to look at, him in action. Because he just kind of looks at himself and goes, what?
Yeah, I love Hito and Taiga's reactions too. Their eyes just pop out of their heads.
But yeah, the toy, if you do that lever one more time, it activates the Hisatsu, the Kimawaza. So yeah, one pull is level X, one other pull is double X, and the third pull is Kimawaza. Since it can't quite fit in that slot holder. So yeah, we'll probably see that next episode, which is episode 14, We're Kamen Riders. Which goes, episode 1 was I'm a Kamen Rider, and now we've got We're Kamen Riders. So I thought that was kind of, that's kind of cool.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
Episode 1 had 1 Ex-Aid, now this one has 2, so
So yeah.
I guess that works.
You got any other comments to just kind of sum up the episode?
No, just not really. Just want to see what Mighty Brothers Double X, how it turns out, and how he fights and stuff.
Great episode, great song, and great way to finish an episode. Total cliffhanger, but a very tasteful cliffhanger.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess that's all for us this week. We'll see you all next time.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. See ya.